I've encouraged you with this many times too, Brad, but like you just can't forget who you are. You can't, and what you're here to do, and not everyone's going to like that. Not everyone's going to. It's not even actually forget. Not everyone's going to like it. Not everyone's going to get it. One of my mentors always says the worst decision you can make, Josh, is to never make one. So I really live with the principle of like sometimes when I'm stuck in my thinking, it's like, Josh, you've got to say yes, you've got to say yay, nay, or you got to delay and put that one off for another time. It's one of those three, and you got to do that. Why do I exist here in life? And that's where belonging and purpose comes from.
It's 5 questions and 5 answers, which I think forms as a beautiful conclusion to the full episode. But many of you may be listening to this or watching this as almost a trailer to what to expect in the full episode if you choose to go and listen. And hopefully you do. So I'm going to dive into those 5 questions.
Yep.
The first, and firstly I'll say, feel that they gain traction in their intensity throughout the course of the 5.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, somewhat. I think the last question is the most profound. So the first question is not on my mind right now. What is the first question?
Book.
The book, yes. There you go, my guest remark. I always forget the order of the questions, but I always remember the fifth.
Too, so yeah. Or I just was thrown off by they're getting more intense. So.
Yeah, there you go. But you nailed it, the book. So I always ask, what's one book or podcast that you'd recommend to someone tuning in?
Yeah.
That, if you could only recommend one, what would be your go-to that's had an impact on you?
Yeah, it's funny because I normally recommend books that I'm halfway through reading. And then I actually borrow our books from the library, so I don't tend to buy too many books, and I haven't quite made the leap to Audible or online reading. So, but a book I did finish was a book called, a couple of years ago actually, a book called Selfie. And it's actually quite a thick book. You might know by the title, you would think, it's just about talking down the selfie generation or younger people. But it's far more layered than that. And it talks about how the journey of history of how we become so self-obsessed and what it's doing to us. And it's by a guy called William Storr, who I think is a journalist. And it's the last book I remember reading cover to cover. In fact, I borrowed it from the library. I spilt my coffee all over it. I went to take it back and they made me buy it off them. So I've actually still got the copy, so I can loan it to you.
Yeah, nice.
But it talks all the way back to ancient history from the Greeks, but also, even as close to the 1980s when a lot of it was all about self-esteem, pumping up your self-esteem, and then you sort of intersect that with social media and phones and all sorts of cultures. But it sort of finishes in a sense where being a chameleon or having to be a chameleon, different things to different people, and not being authentic actually is an exhausting space to live. And it talks about some of the tragedies around that. But it was just a great book to reflect upon leading people, but also holding the mirror up to myself as well. So.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like the next thing I read will be my list of questions again because I can't believe I forgot the first question of 5 questions and answers. Yeah. But hey, that's the real authentic story behind today's podcast.
I'm halfway through Atomic Habits.
I hear a lot of good things about that.
Yeah, but I feel like I've learnt enough to focus on right now. So I've ditched it. And you talk about telling stories. I'm halfway through reading Dave Grohl's storytelling.
Oh, yeah. How's that?
Look, I've seen the Foo Fighters live a couple of times, and I think this is where we connect in lot in life. We like who these people are, artists, sports stars, whatever, but we really want to know who they are.
For sure.
That's, my favourite types of movies and books are true stories, but it's the story behind the story.
My favourite movie ever, Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, is it? Well, mine's Moneyball.
Oh, great movie. I watched that
really
second
good,
time in
I'm a GM
ISO.
and I just kind of think about that, and I love sporting stories. And Brad Pitt's incredible. So
the
combination of all that is...
I watched that again the other week.
Good. It makes it my favourite.
Great.
So.
Second question is a skill you recommend mastering that significantly improved your life?
Yeah, I'll talk a bit about this already, but I'd have to say it is empathy. Mastering that skill. I don't think I'm always there, but it is the ability to say, I can't imagine what someone's going through, but then you hold space for that person by listening and helping them at the end of all that move forward in some way or another, either by maybe some advice if asked for, maybe recommendation to see another person or get help in some way. But at risk of repeating myself, I think I'm a chaplain, and really what they are meant to be doing is being present with people. And in a world that's really fast-paced, and I'm certainly not saying to people, slow your life down. I'm saying keep living full on, but be full on with your presence with people as well, being present with people, taking the time to not story top or go over the top of someone, and don't make assumptions about people. And that was a significant blockage in my leadership life, because I thought life had to be done one way, thought it had to be done my way, I thought, why aren't they doing that? It's so simple to me, or why do they keep doing it that way? That's annoying. As I've got a little bit older, realised life's a little bit more complex than I probably first gave it credit for. It is people have got a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes, which you're a rare person in your life if you build trust enough to dig behind that with people. And I've just found it to be a space where people are really desperate for to have someone to go, I can't imagine, I don't have words for you. I have no fortune cookie wisdom that's going to help you out of this or pretend to help you out of this. But I'm here. Here's my number. Call me anytime. I'm with you on this journey.
So it's so important, isn't it? And we all appreciate and really value those people in our lives. And
Sure.
I can really resonate with what you said there about, that skill of empathy has taken time. I think I was definitely stuck in my beliefs and ways, especially through, I spoke about it a little bit on my podcast with Sarah Grinberg. And I said, I think a big part of my life experience with CF made me very conscious and aware of health and that relationship with one's health. And I really struggled to understand and be empathetic with people who disregarded that and almost disrespected that through the use of substances. And where I used to think, how could you do that to your body when you've been blessed with health? And I've had to, almost in a victim's mentality at points, I was like, I take 50 tablets a day. I work so hard for my health. Don't they understand? And then I realised, and this is the power of story and listening,
Exactly right,
is, I can't imagine the experience that they've been through, because that is so different to my lived experience.
Right.
What they've had to suffer through and their challenges are so unique to them. It's so outside of my understanding that I guess I can understand now, or be empathetic to why that has become the path of their life.
That's right.
How can I listen? How can I ask questions to allow them to find a way through this?
Yeah. And I guess I've always seen it as a weak word, or it's something that is that really what I need to be doing? It sounds all a bit, wishy-washy. But I think even as, and I can only speak from the context of a male, but even as men, I think it's exactly what genuine Australians men need in this stage of life, whether that be around 40 or trying to build a life for mid-20s or whatever else it is. But you asked me, have I mastered it? I mean, it's not a mastered skill. My wife will be sitting here thinking, I don't think he's as good as he's saying about it.
Yeah, should be nodding her head now. Yeah, say
right.
that.
Or but maybe I'll learn a bit of it from her as well. And I'm sure there's people I've worked with in the past who are thinking, no, Josh is not very good at that. But it's those people that you think just don't get it. They're actually the people that shave. They're the people that kind of sort of shave the sandpaper off you a little bit, and they kind of make you a little bit more honed in what you're doing. And
definitely.
So it's those people that actually teach you a bit more than people that are pumping you up all the time as well. So.
Of course. The third question, I love this question because it's really revealing, and I think you've probably spoken about this at points in the podcast, but the greatest challenge that you've faced that's required the most growth or resilience to overcome?
Yeah, I have, I've certainly touched on it, but I've experienced tragedy, I've experienced loss, but I would say my consistent challenge is my thinking. And you understand this, and we've talked about, having a patch of grass that you know is like, oh, this can be bigger, or this could be greater, or can't people see this? And you're even struggling to articulate it a little bit. But it is often my thinking that can hold me back. It's so easy when you're being a bit, I'm not even saying this about myself, but it's what people are saying, I guess, about me. But, when you're innovative or you're doing something different or you're trying to shape things a bit ahead of the curve, doubt can creep in really quickly all the time. And it can be a place where I know I'm maybe stuck, or my thinking's maybe getting the better of me because I lose the ability to make decisions. And when you do that, it becomes a bit of just a grey space where you are lacking decisiveness, or you're second guessing what's the right one, so you never make a decision. One of my mentors always says the worst decision you can make, Josh, is to never make one. So I really live with the principle of, like, sometimes when I'm stuck in my thinking, it's like, Josh, you've got to say yes. You've got to say yay, nay, or you've got to delay and put that one off for another time. But it's one of those three, and you've got to do that. So people that are kind of living on the edge or wanting to do something different, or looking ahead of what could be, thinking is that you're getting stuck in your thinking is a common thing, and it means that you're pushing boundaries somewhere. I definitely part of my journey, particularly 10 years ago, was some pretty deep, dark mental health challenges, and it's potentially a story for another time, but it was, to the point where your thinking it paralyzes you, and it's paralysis by analysis by paralysis, or it's you're so concerned about making the right decision, wrong decision. But each of those times, I think, I've encouraged you with this many times too, Brad, but like, you just can't forget who you are. You can't, and what you're here to do, and not everyone's going to like that. Not everyone's going to. It's not even actually forget. Not everyone's going to like it. Not everyone's going to get it.
Yeah.
Because you're a likable guy, but not everyone's going to get it. But that's okay. Just if you remember why you're turning up to a space, who you are, doubt seems to become less of an issue. So I would say with mental health, and even mental health challenges, there's way better people to listen to and talk about than me. But I know my own story is it was a significant challenge that saw me living a life I don't want to live again. But I would also say that it's always there too. So you just got to learn how to kind of put a boundary around your negative thinking, or make it less of a space in your mind too as well. So
I just want to say to that, in the way that you do it so humbly, I just think that couple minutes is so powerful. And I'd suggest for everyone listening to or watching this, because I know I will in the edit and in the release, just skip back 2 minutes and listen to that again, because I hear and feel all of that. And I know so many people who are tuning in will understand exactly what you mean there, and feel that to their core. That's powerful. So I'll just say amen to that.
That's good.
So well said, and thank you for sharing that. The fourth is a daily ritual or routine that just forms a part of setting yourself up for that daily success, in quotations.
Yeah, I mean, it's linked to my thinking, and you see me do this a lot, but I do like to walk most mornings of the week. I don't do that necessarily because, it's a beautiful spot to walk, or I just want to check out the sunrise. There is something about not having, when you first wake up, not having a ceiling over your head, because for me it's a metaphor for my day, or it's a metaphor for my life, that I don't want this thing to be capped. I don't want this thing to just be like I'm looking at the ceiling here, but I don't want it to just be that's it, And so, sleep and night times and things for people that like to think and like to be up ahead and go getting can be difficult times. So actually, when you see me out walking, it is me either trying to reset for a new day, or it's to try to settle my thoughts, or it's, me as a husband, as a father, I'm so responsible for the atmosphere and the tone in my home. And it's important that, it's not about getting that right all the time, but it's important that I recognise that's my responsibility. The atmosphere in my home is my responsibility. Talia, if she was here, my wife, she'd say the same thing. We got such responsibility to our kids to set them up for success that, I just don't want all that, junk or negativity to be in my brain. So I think that's why I walk. That's why I like to get out, fresh air. It gives you a bigger perspective on life. And I have and we've talked about it in other parts of the podcast, but I have a strong relationship, a personal one. So, I help other people in their faith, but that's got to come out of that I have a strong relationship myself with God. And walking is a part of that, connecting with God, reading my Bible. These are daily practices that I do. But yeah, there's always a why behind it. I'm not just walking down there because, I've heard that's the place to be.
Mate, I'll
never...
do
it if no one's down there.
Yeah,
that's right.
It is so true.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone describe that as a way of starting the day without a ceiling.
Right.
I love that.
Well, it's not my thought, that I won't, so I can't take credit for it. But there's nothing too new under the sun.
No, well, that's it.
That makes sense to my life.
Yeah, and I will be using that in future podcasts and
right.
conversations. The last question, the one that means a whole lot to me, it really is the reason for what I do, to uplift and inspire hope in others. And a big part of that role as a guest on this podcast is the opportunity to share one message with the world that if you could encourage them to act on it, make it a part of the fabric of who they are and what they believe, what would that message be?
There's so many things I could say, but it was a good question because it made me think. But it really just came down to, I would encourage people to just keep asking why. My kids, I've got 4 kids, and they're at that age where they're just like, hey guys, you got to go to bed. Why? Hey, you got to pack up the land. Why? You got to eat your veg. Why? Just because you have to, So it's often the answer that comes out, but it's a good thought because we should do that in our own life. Like, why am I scrolling so much on Instagram here? Why? Why am I walking down here every day? And that's where those, no ceiling over my head thought comes from. Why do I exist here in life? And that's where belonging and purpose comes from. Why is this sunrise so beautiful today? Well, that's where, if you keep digging away at that, that's where my belief comes from. This world was created and by a beautiful God that wanted to put that on show for us, So if you keep asking why, not in an analytical way and not in a negative way, or it's the thing internally we should be asking ourselves all the time, because if we don't, we end up doing things that we don't want to do. We end up setting up unrealistic expectations. We end up...
Just carry on. For everyone listening, the camera keeps cutting out. The battery's dead. So I'll just roll a little intro clip over the end here.
Josh has definitely talked too long. I think is what Brad's saying. But I think it's... And then it's not our gift to other people, but it's definitely our gift to ourselves if we just keep asking why, because everyone has a backstage life and they have a front stage life. And if those things are too far apart, because you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, it's a very exhausting space to keep up. And that's why to use that word again, we see leaders not make it or fall over or do things they shouldn't, or break trust, or whatever else it is. So it is about bringing those two things together, knowing why you're doing what you're doing, having the best motivations you can for the things you're doing as well. So,
mate, so well said. That just everything we've spoken about today, and it's the reason why I continue to invest in this relationship that we have is not only do I feel as though not only can we sit and chat and laugh as mates and, you know, talk about other things, but there is a sense that you have and a power and ability that you have as a human being to connect with what I need to hear in a given time and the advice that I need, or just to be heard and listened to, that I appreciate so much.
Yeah.
I just, for the people listening, I want to know that everywhere you can find Josh will be in the show description today. But I feel like just for you, and you're so humble that you won't, you know, you always kind of brush this off. But mate, I just want to celebrate you and congratulate you on the work that you're doing, the human being you are. I think from a very human level in your personal life, I look at the human being you are, and I think what an amazing role model your kids have. What an amazing husband your wife has. And even as I'm sure there's probably a few things she'd say, I wish you'd done a bit more of this around the house, you know.
Get her back for part two.
I just want to congratulate you on the human being that you are first and foremost, and just say that the work you do is incredible. I'm so privileged and honoured to have had you on the podcast, and we spoke about this before, that regardless of the heights that I hope to reach and the opportunities I hope to get to speak to some of the biggest celebrities in life to humanise their story, I look at someone like you who's been a part of my life for the last 10 years now, more particularly the last 2. And this conversation here feels as profound as conversation will ever need to be. And it feels like it could impact and have such an important role in so many people's lives to uplift and inspire hope in them, which is essentially why I do what I do. So thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thanks, Brad. It's been an absolute honour. Actually, I appreciate the invite. I'll receive all that encouragement, actually, and know that life's, you know, not done. We've got a lot to go, but yeah, it is important to sometimes just to stop and receive the encouragement that's given.
Definitely.
And say thanks, and thanks again for having me a part of it.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for tuning in, guys.